The reason I'm so personally disappointed in Deion is I thought he was there for a movement, not for money. Meaning, Deion Sanders, the coach of Jackson State, I foresaw a situation where Deion would hire other coaches, other retired black NFL greats to coach other HBCUs.
He said he foreseen a movement. He foreseen it. Did Deion Sanders foresee it? Have we ever thought that maybe what you think should have happened is not what was supposed to happen because Deion Sanders did not see or have the same vision as Dr. Umar?
And Deion Sanders used, abused, and exploited HBCU Jackson State just to be given an opportunity to show predominantly white institutions that he could coach. If he only used them as a stepping stone to getting a job at a white college, he was dead wrong.
This is another episode of Becoming with Angelina Watkins, and I'm your host, Angelina, your queen of becoming, and I help sophisticated professional women and first-time entrepreneurs become who they need to be so they can do what they're purposed to do, so they can live the abundant life that they want to live. And I started this podcast to talk about healing to prosperity and everything in between so that you can become who you need to be to win at love, life, and money. And so if this is your first time tuning in, I welcome you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. I hope you enjoy the show. We drop a new episode here every Thursday, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode. And as always, I love it when you talk to me. I love it when you let me know what you think, whether you agree, whether you disagree. So make sure you leave some comments below. Let me know how you enjoyed the show. Now, today's topic is about Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State. Now, this is very controversial. You have some folks who are agreeing with him. They're okay with it. They're patting him on the back. They're rooting him on with him progressing in his coaching career. Then you have some who think that he has sold out, that you used, abused, and exploited the HBCU for your own good. And we're going to talk about it today because I got some thoughts, all right? So I'm not really into football, college football, NFL, coaching, and all the politics that comes with athletics. But I caught an interview of Dr. Umar on The Breakfast Club, and it really caught my attention, and probably not for what it caught most people's attention, because I think I got a different take on it as I'm listening to the interview. But Dr. Umar is very passionate about his stance in Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State.
The reason I'm so personally disappointed in Deion is I thought he was there for a movement, not for money. Meaning, Deion Sanders, the coach of Jackson State, I foresaw a situation where Deion would hire other coaches, other retired black NFL greats to coach other HBCUs. In doing so, you attract our top tier high school athletes to come to HBCU.
Maybe.
Stay with me.
Eddie George is at Tennessee State.
Stay with me. Football and back. You know, like I know, if you got top tier NFL greats coaching HBCUs, the athletes are coming just like they was coming for Deion. He showed you, Charlamagne.
Deion, though.
He showed
Dr.
you.
Umar.
And his other one's just
Deion,
as
one
great.
of the most famous people ever.
And his other one's just as great. So listen.
Eddie George at Tennessee State.
That's one person. We talking about a system, not an individual. So Deion and these other coaches bring all these athletes from high school to play football, basketball, so forth. The revenue of the HBCU goes up, Envy. As a result of the revenue going up, Charlamagne, the schools got more money. They don't have to subject themselves to closure. They don't have to subject themselves to being dependent on white money. You got HBCUs at risk of being closed.
Okay, so you have HBCUs at risk of closing because of funding. They don't have the money. And so what Dr. Umar is saying here is that he foreseen a movement with Deion Sanders being the coach of Jackson State. Because with him being the coach, it was bringing attention. He had the opportunity to start bringing in more pro athletes to coach at the HBCUs. It was attracting more of the athletes to come to the school. And so he foreseen a movement that would help the HBCUs thrive, because right now they're not thriving like white institutions. And I get that. I get that. We need some type of movement. We need something to where we've had some better funding resources to keep our HBCUs open. But what got me was that he said he foreseen a movement. He foreseen it. Did Deion Sanders foresee it? Have we ever thought that maybe what you think should have happened is not what was supposed to happen because Deion Sanders did not see or have the same vision as Dr. Umar? What was Deion Sanders' vision for himself when he came to the HBCU? What was Deion Sanders' vision for leaving the HBCU? Because he's talking about a movement that he foreseen, that he felt like Deion Sanders could have started a movement. But was it a movement for Deion Sanders to start? Because, they say that before he took that coaching position, he had already made it clear on 60 Minutes that if he were to be approached by a larger school, that he would entertain it and he would be a fool not to.
If Deion told the administration and the students and the players at Jackson State that I'm taking this job, but I need y'all to know, if something better comes along, as soon as it comes along, I may be leaving.
He did say that.
He said that.
If he was that transparent, I didn't see that.
I played the clip the other day. He said it on 60 Minutes. He said that.
No, he said he may be leaving. He did not say he was leaving after 3 years.
No, he said that if a Power 5 school comes along,
yes.
I have to entertain it. I would be a fool not to. And Deion has
That's
always
not
been
the same.
No, Deion has always been transparent and open about what his goals were.
That is not, no, I disagree with you. He told them if it comes his way, he would have to entertain it. He never said I would leave you that soon.
If what they said, a Power 5 school was to come his way, he said that he would entertain it. He doesn't have to say, well, if they came to me a year or 2 years or 3 years. I don't really think that's the point. The point is that he let us know that if a Power 5 school was to come and approach him and recruit him for a coaching position, that he would entertain it. He would be a fool not to. And so he let us know, even when he went to the HBCU, that his goal was to go much higher. That right there was letting you know his goal was to go to Power 5. So we can't determine and decide what his fate is going to be. Right now he had a destination. And how do we know that the HBCU was just not a temporary destiny? As I said, we have temporary destinies that lead us to our destination. And maybe his destination and his vision for himself and his life was to get to a Power 5 school. And I have to ask, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Did he really sell out the HBCU because he went for what was ultimately his goal? I can't. There's points made that says that he did. And there's points made that said that he didn't. But when we think about purpose and when we think about calling and when we think about a vision that you have for your life and where you're headed and where you're going and where God is leading you, we don't get the opportunity to tell him what he should and should not do, because there's plans that we don't know. God has plans for our life, and it's not for you to always know what the plan is that God has for someone else's life, right? While we're deciding that he should be the catalyst for somebody's movement. And so I was, when I was reading up on this, I read that Black coaches have rarely been given a real shot for top positions in major conferences. So in Power 5 schools, they rarely get the position of being a coach. And so now we have someone that has been recruited to be a coach at a Power 5 school. Maybe that is the movement. Maybe that's the movement for Deion Sanders. Have we ever thought that him leaving the HBCU, that yes, while we need a movement at HBCUs in order for us to be have the funding resources that we need to keep the schools open, that there's a bigger thing happening here, that his calling is for a totally different movement, and that being at the HBCU, how do we know that wasn't a catalyst? How we know that he didn't kind of start a foundation for someone else to come in and pick up the baton and really take it somewhere that Deion wasn't meant to take it? How do we not know that when we're deciding that he should not have left Jackson State?
Now, if he didn't tell them that, okay, and I'm hearing from people who know athletes on that team that they were not told it that way.
They weren't listening.
And they're upset.
Because he said that on 60 Minutes.
Okay? He didn't say it that way, Charlamagne. I saw that.
He did. That's an
not.
exact
No,
quote.
he didn't.
Exact
Now,
quote.
if he did not do it that way, that automatically means that Deion Sanders used, abused, and exploited HBCU Jackson State just to be given an opportunity to show predominantly white institutions that he could coach. If he only used them as a stepping stone to getting a job at a white college, he was dead wrong.
Did he use them as a stepping stone? Don't we all go somewhere to have or take advantage of opportunities that can lead us to bigger opportunities? Again, if his goal was to get to a Power 5 school, but the opportunity to get the exposure, to get the experience, to show what I can do was given to him by Jackson State, why would he not do that? I don't know that that necessarily translates to abusing, using, and exploiting the HBCU. Now, I can see his point in how that may look, but again, if he was supposed to be there, make a difference, and then move on, I don't know that there's something wrong with that. Because while he's been there at Jackson State, let's talk about what he's accomplished. He's compiled a 27-5 record. He's guided the school to an undefeated season for the first time in history. This school has not done well according to my research, and he has taken them to being undefeated. He's also won back-to-back Southwestern Athletic Conference championships. He's brought the school national exposure, and he's made the school a top destination for recruits. He's made some accomplishments for these schools. And you're saying that that's using and abusing? I think that it's a win-win here. While he may have been using that as a stepping stone to get to something much larger, he didn't just use and abuse them and leave them with nothing. Like, he brought them he brought them championships. He made them undefeated. He brought them national exposure. He improved their record. He made something out of nothing while he was there. And he has created an atmosphere that makes people want to come to and be recruited to this school for athletics. And he's now opened the door for some other coaches to come in and, again, pick up the baton and continue where he left off. And I don't think that there's nothing wrong with him starting something and passing the baton to someone else, because maybe that's their calling and not his. Again, we don't know the plans that God has for other people's lives as to why they make the decisions that they make for what they're doing. And again, if we have not had African American coaches in these positions and these Power 5 schools, then I think it's time that we do. And if the time is now with Deion Sanders, then why not? Why not? Sometimes we got to look at the bigger picture. I know we got to be all about our people, but we also know that our people have opened doors for us by being the first to do something. You know, when we look at all of the actors back in the day and the musicians and all the stuff that they've done in the civil rights movements, we always had someone. We always had to have someone who had to be the first to break down walls, to tear down doors, to allow us to get the opportunities that we have not been getting. And if we have not been getting the opportunities for Power 5 conference schools, and this is the opportunity for us to now get in there through Deion Sanders, then why not? Why not? I understand what Dr. Umar is saying. Because that we have to stick together, that we have to, come together. We have all these celebrities that are graduating from HBCUs. We need to come now, bring your funding together so that we can keep these schools open, because these schools, have they say are a lot of the medical students have come out of the Black medical professions have come out of our HBCUs, and we want to be able to keep them open. But Deion Sanders is just one person, and he can't do it all by himself. We have to come together as a people.
Low
Alumni donors.
low alumni donors.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Low endowments.
Correct.
That's a us problem.
He part of us. Why you keep exempting celebrities?
He's one
They're not
person.
better than us.
He's one person.
Okay, but the point is that one man could have been a catalyst for a movement that would have revolutionized the survival of HBCUs.
But why does the movement stop just because he left? HBCUs gonna
You're
still be
missing
here.
the point.
No,
The
HBCUs gonna
abolition
still be
wasn't
here.
just about Frederick Douglass. But if Frederick Douglass would have pulled out, it would have hurt it. The Underground Railroad wasn't just about Harriet, but if she would have pulled out, it would have failed.
So what was the
civil
HBCU
rights movement
movement
wasn't
before
just about
Deion?
King.
Before Deion 3 years ago, what was
They
the
were
HBCU
struggling, and he could have helped save it. And for him to pull out of Jackson State the way that he did it before making sure the HBCU system survived, to me was selfish. He chose money over the movement, Charlemagne, and celebrities do it all the time, and y'all want to give him a pass. Nobody get no pass.
That's
I don't
very
care
unfair
who
to say.
Deion Sanders is. He had a chance to help, and he hurt, and y'all want to condone that because you black celebrities are not committed to the best interests of black people.
He did it for money. He did it. Dr. Umar is saying that he did it for money. And I have to think that, yeah, money probably played a part. He's getting way more money working for this school in Colorado, or I can't remember the name right now. But I really think it's bigger than that. Again, he had his own goals of what he wanted to accomplish. We don't, and I don't think that we can hold Deion Sanders responsible for a movement that he's not possibly been called to create and be responsible for. I just don't think we can hold him accountable for that. Again, it's a us thing. The problem was there before Deion Sanders. The problem was there while he was there, and the problem is going to be there after he leaves, unless we come together as a people. And as he says, celebrities. We've got a lot of celebrities who have gone to the HBCUs. And are they, donating? Are they giving back? Are they pulling their resources together to be able to give these schools the money that they need? I don't think that we could just put this all on Deion Sanders. I don't think we can put this movement on him. Yes, he said, Frederick Douglass, what if he had to pull out of the abolitionists? Well, that was his calling. So he didn't pull it out. That was his passion. Harriet Tubman, what if she had to pull it out and said that she wasn't going to help with the Underground Railroad? But it was her passion. So she wasn't going to pull out. But this is not Deion's passion. It's not his passion to be there and take the HBCUs to another level. That's not his passion. Therefore, that's not his purpose or his calling. He's looking to do something totally different. What we're going to need is someone who has a passion for the HBCUs, that don't want to see them die, that doesn't want to see them close their doors, that wants to see them be just as great as the Power 5 schools that they talk about. We're going to need someone with that passion to come in and lead the movement of this vision Dr. Umar has. I just don't think that Deion Sanders is the guy. And if he's not the guy, then so be it. Go on, move on. Go do what you're supposed to do so that somebody else can come in and make a difference for these HBCUs. But Dr. Umar, what are you doing to help the HBCUs? You want to put it all on Deion Sanders, but what are you doing?
Be that passionate about HBCUs. How much you going to donate to an HBCU
Let me answer
today?
your question. May I?
Yes.
First of all, I'm not a multi-millionaire. Second of all,
Why you gotta be a
can I
multi-millionaire
finish
to
my
donate?
question? Can I finish my question? I donate to HBCUs on a regular basis.
Okay.
I do. But my point is, I'm focused on destroying the school-to-prison pipeline. I'm building 2 independent schools
And
from the
I
ground.
applaud you for that.
Black money. Nobody you've interviewed in this studio ever is doing that. Not one of them. You understand me? So I'm doing my part, and that's why I can expect Deion Sanders to do his part.
If you can do your part that you decided is your part, how come Deion can't do his part that he's decided that it's his part? You decided that your part is to open up some independent schools. your independent schools has nothing to do with the HBCUs funding and keeping them open, but you realize that there's a need, and there's and something that needs to happen with our young men before they even get to college. So you're doing your part of preparing them for before they even get to college, if they even need to decide to go to college. But you've decided what your calling is, and you decided what your part is. How come Deion doesn't get to decide what his part is? How come he doesn't get to decide that that's not where he was supposed to be, and that his calling may be much higher in opening a totally different door? You're doing your part, that you've chosen to do your part, but now you want to decide what's his part, and that's just not fair. It's just not fair. It's not fair of you to decide what's his calling. It's not fair of you to decide what the plan that God has for his life. It's not for you to decide. And just like you got to decide your own fate, Dr. Umar, Deion gets to decide his. And if this HBCUs need saving, then the right God is going to send the right person to be in charge of that movement, to make sure that they get the funding that they need to come together. And maybe it's some other celebrity that hears you and they decide, you know what, Dr. Umar, you make a really good point, and I want to make sure that we keep these schools alive. So my thing is, I just think that, Dr. Umar, while you made some really valid points, you don't get to decide Deion Sanders' fate. Now, I'd like to know what you all think. Leave me some comments below. What do you think? Do you think that Deion Sanders should not have left the HBCU? Do you think that he used, abused, and exploited them for his own gain, and that he left in his exit from Jackson State was wrong? Or do you think that he did the right thing for what he thought was he's supposed to do? That's the plan for his life. Let me know. All right? Now, as always, where you are is not where you have to be. Your past does not define you. You define you. So heal, transform, and pursue you.